What is going on, students? It's Devlin Cassidy, aka The Scholar. Welcome back to another video. My first standard video in a long time. I know I haven't really made any standard related content since kind of like my last discussion video and when I was playing Overdress for last BCS season, but I finally decided to lock back in because my favorite deck of all time, being Magnolia for standard, got support in Magnolia Patriarch, and so now I wanted to revisit my all-time favorite deck in Stoichea, which is Magnolia Elder. I missed playing her since set 4 before Divine Z, so it's been a while, but I think I made a really cool deck list build. Was also a little bit inspired from Deck Flair's video. If you have not checked that out, please go check that out in the link in the comments below. It's kind of inspired new ideas when I revisited this list again, because I had a draft, I watched this video, and then it kind of led me to this direction. So just so that way you guys know, it is still pure Magnolia Elder. I will be doing a Magnolia Patriarch build, and then I'll be doing the hybrid build, of course, on my channel, just because Magnolia is my favorite deck. I love the Sylvan High Beast. I really just can't wait for you guys to check out this profile. But of course, if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys like and subscribe. It really just helps me push my content even further with the algorithm. The other thing is I'm making my comeback, and it's just really greatly appreciated for those that have. As you guys can see, like, my camera setup quality is a little better, setup's better. I'm going to be doing a studio tour here this week too. Just kind of show you guys, my apartment, give a life update, show you how I've put in, everything here going since my new career launch and everything like that. So I'm just very, very excited to continue to bring you guys content. But enough of me yapping. Let's just get right into it. So of course, for the ride line, very standard Magnolia ride line. Got the starter, you have Cheris, you have Lattice, and you have, of course, Magnolia Patriarch. Patriarch finally solves the deck's original issue of like not getting really good multi-attack on the first turn, on your first grade 3 turn. With original Magnolia, you only could do 4, and then it was based off Persona Ride, then you could do all 6, and it was really clunky, and it was just a pace down. Elder comes out and it unlocks automatic 6 attack with triple drive, inlet pulse, and the deck just had a very high push curve because it was just out advantaging our opponents like crazy. And so that build is inspired to really capitalize on that and capitalize on that high card advantage that now with the new support that the Sylvan High Beasts have received to do so. But the really cool thing about Patriarch is guaranteed a 5 attack turn now on your grade 3, which is really good. Allows you to be really aggressive going first. Or if you're going second, you still get the all 6, which I really like about Patriarch's wording. I just really don't like about Patriarch. The only thing, my gripe, is that it doesn't get the triple drive. You have to Persona Ride to get the drive +1, which, while it is good, not being guaranteed most of the time, your Persona Ride a little bit sucks. But that's the trade-off, is that if you get Persona Ride power by building your deck centrically around consistently rewriting Patriarch, or you can have consistent triple drive, which again, I just really love the card advantage and the guaranteed ability just to have really good pressure every turn with the Magnolia Elder not having to rewrite. So that's just the big thing here. Of course, we'll go over the rest of the ride line. The grade 2 Lattice, really strong card. This card says when it's rolled upon by a grade 3 card with Magnolia in its card name, you can Soul Blast one. You can choose a grade 3 or greater card from your drop or normal order from your drop, and you add it to your hand. So if you are discarding an Elder for the cost of the ride deck, you can just add the Elder right back. Like, one of my favorite plays is just to discard Elder and then add it right back with this by Soul Blasting this out. And it's just really, really strong. Cheris here, of course, got the retrain. I think it's actually one of the best retrains for ride lines yet we've gotten. So when this was wrote upon by a grade 2 with Sylvan Horn Beast in its card name, you can look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You call a grade 2 or less normal unit from among them to rear guard, and then you can discard the rest. So again, if a Magnolia Elder is in the top 3 cards of your deck, you can call a grade 2 from among them and then discard the rest. And then, of course, Lattice can come back and snag those. So again, just really, really strong, and allows you to be a little bit aggressive early, or it can help you set up for your grade 3 Patriarch turn, finding you a Voldilar, finding you anything that you can potentially get there. It's just really, really important. And then, of course, Lottie here as our starter, just to be in theme. One of my favorite starters. I got to pick up the SP again since I sold completely out of standard. I'm going to be having this deck blinged eventually, just because I've kind of picked now that I'm just going to ride out Magnolia. It's my favorite deck. I have a lot of fun with it, and that there's now a bunch of different ways to play the deck. I think you can make it competitive for almost any format. So again, this is our ride line, very standard Magnolia Elder ride line, and again, you guys can go to where you need. But the star of the show now, we have 4 copies of Magnolia Elder. Magnolia Elder's fantastic. This card, so much nostalgia, so many memories going to my first Springfest, and my teammate was playing this deck, and then I picked it up immediately after because I just thought it was so cool. Really loved playing, seeing this play and playing it afterwards. This card's ability is when it's placed on Vanguard, you get to call a card from your soul, similar to how I forgot to go over Magnolia Patriarch. Patriarch can call a Sylvanhorn Beast from the drop zone, so you get more advantage that way, so kind of similar, but this card calls it from Soul, and you guys will find that calling from Soul is really broken in this deck when there are a bunch of units that go to Soul at the end of turn to draw a card. So this is allow you with multiple rewrites to +1 while getting an attack to rebuild your board. So really, really strong, really love Elder for that reason, but of course, if you have one or more cards in your Soul or Rearguard with Magnolia in their card name, you can, all your Rearguards can attack from the back row and intercept and get 5k. Of course, they have to have intercept though to intercept from the back row, so please don't like be trying to intercept with a grade 1 from the back row. They don't gain intercept, just if they do have intercept, they can intercept from the back row. I've like, for some reason, had to explain that to people, so just make sure that you guys are being very clear and like how you're presenting the wording of this effect. If your opponent's just asking you what it does, don't like have them but like of course they can read it. But yeah, this card again has triple drive, so you're seeing 3 cards every turn. Again, my whole philosophy and standard is that the higher percentages of drives you have, the better your deck can perform. We're seeing that with Bav and stuff like that. So like again, hand advantage and seeing triggers I think is just the most important aspect of the format in general. I've really stuck by this the entire time I played it. It's why I really love the Vidra, those Infinity Eyes markers drawing you cards, things like that. So this is why I've gone back to Elder, and I've had a lot of success actually like playing this deck. So this deck's tons of fun. So like please by all means try the pure Elder build, because I don't think she will let you down. This card is fantastic. Reminiscent though of the old Elder build, we are playing 2 copies of Inlet Pulse Dragon, not 4. We already have an in-theme Inlet Pulse Dragon that's actually a little bit bigger. It's a 15k on its own. With Elder, it's a 20k, so it's really good, and just a little bit better than Inlet Pulse because it stops intercepts, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But Inlet Pulse is still just a really good card, so we're playing 6 Inlet Pulses in the deck, which is crazy to think about if you remember old grade 4 mag. So you know your game getting a bunch of cards into Soul. This is a fine callback out if you haven't found that Sylvanhorn Beast yet, and it's just really good unit just to, you know, hey, if there's 4 or more battles, which there is will, you're able just to swing from the back row, and then you just can draw a card. So it's really, really good. Really, really love the fact that I get to play Inlet Pulse Dragon, because it's also a good card call target for the card after this one. But of course, we're playing 2 copies of Enlargolf. So Enlargolf works with a grade 4 Vanguard, because you don't have to show a grade 4 from your hand, or if you have a grade 4 Vanguard, you can activate the effects by, you know, if it's placed on the Guardian Circle, it gets 15k shield. If it's called to Rearguard, you can Soul Blast 1, add a grade 2 or greater card from your drop zone to your hand. So you're adding any of your Sylvanhorn Beasts back, or you're adding, you know, a Forbidal, or you're adding an Inlet Pulse, or you're grabbing even another Elder. You know, just calling this Soul Blast Elder to set up an Elder for next turn, really, really strong. And then as an 18k attacker, perfectly fine. But also the hidden gem of this card, when it's discarded from your hand for the ride deck, you get to draw a card. So this will come up here too, as this deck also has a plethora of awesome discard targets for your ride deck, to where you're never like discarding negatively, or where you have to like hard choose what you need to discard for the ride deck. So again, this card just being an insane advantage engine is a really great tool now that pure Elder has again. So I really, really suggest you guys playing at least a few copies of this card. It's really strong. And then of course, I had to get the funny art because I saw that it got reprinted. We are playing the Forbidal Surrogate. Forbidal is just so good. If you find this on your Magnolia Patriarch turn, you're able to actually go ahead and just grab the Elder straight from deck and then call their Rearguard. So my favorite play, like if I find this on curve on turn 3, you know, you just, you know, call your Inlet Pulse and then add an Elder to your hand, so that way you're set up for next turn, and then you have the guaranteed draw card anyway, because the Inlet Pulse is definitely going to Soul on that turn. So just really, really strong card, sets you up for the deck. Is just able, you know, to consistently find you advantage. And even in the mid game, like if you're missing an Elder, this is another Elder, because this is always going to be able to go grab an Elder, and then you can revive a grade 3 from drop. Like this card has so much utility in the deck. This is definitely the way to go. We have built-in protection, so we don't really need Angel Ladder, and just things like that. So it's like this card is just really the Regulus piece. But if you wanted to play more defensive, which like I'm already playing enough defensive elements in this deck, I don't think I needed it. You could play the Twin Cast. That's the other Regulus piece I could see. But if you are though playing pure Patriarch, definitely play the Chalice, just because the Chalice is a guaranteed Persona ride and you want to be finding those Persona rides consistently. But Forbidal, since we are playing the Elder build for this purpose. Now, I was raving about him, you know, a few seconds earlier. Let's talk about Voldilar, the new grade 2 that we have. This is a set 8 grade 2, but this card is so good, man. I really, really love this card. So what this card does is that when it attacks, If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Magnolia in its card name, until the end of that battle, this unit gets 5k and your opponent cannot intercept. So no cheapy like on the 13. Oh, cool, intercept. But also, too, it's really hard for the 5ks to guarantee it. But this is just really good against the Ava matchup, actually, just because, you know, turning off the obscurades is really good because that's a lot of the shield value for the deck, actually, just because the deck gets so saturated with orders. I find that this card is just like impeccable in the Ava matchup. I'm trying to have 2 of these on board in that matchup at all times. And actually, the board recursion in this deck you'll see is like really strong too. So like I'm telling you guys, like this deck is really strong, and I think it's a sleeper, and I don't think people are giving it the full respect. But don't worry, I think Patriarch's still a really good deck as well. But of course, at the end of the turn, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Magnolia in its card name, and your unit attacked from the back row this turn, you can put this unit into your soul and draw a card. So similar to Inlet Pulse, both goes to soul and draws a card at the end of the turn. This just has to see a unit swing from the back row, and Inlet Pulse just needs there to be 4 attacks. But of course, you're always going to be hitting those conditions because Patriarch and Elder are going to allow you to swing from the back row. So this card's absolutely fantastic. 15k by itself, 20k with any of the Magnolia skills live. Card's absolutely fantastic, man. Please do not sleep on it. I'm going to actually say that this card probably is my favorite card in the entire deck. The next card that's up after Elder. This is 4 copies of Benespati. Benespati is why I actually considered playing this deck. Not gonna lie, this card is so good. This card says that when it is placed on rearguard other than the battle phase, you can counterblast 1, soul blast 1, choose one of your Vanguards with Sylvan Horde Beast in its card name, and for every 2 grades, you get to call a grade 3 or less card with a different card name from this unit from your drop and call it to rearguard. So with Elder on the board, this says, hey, neg 1 plus 3 to board. Card's insane. Card is so good, and it's Soul Blast, so you can get Voldilars out of your soul. You can get other cards out of your soul. You can get cards that retire themselves, which is the next card coming up, that also draws you a card. So this card most of the time says too, like you rewrite Elder, call the Inlet Pulse, call Benespati Counterblast, call the Voldilar, and call this next grade 2 that's coming up. And so then you have 1, 2, 3 cards that draw a card at the end of the turn. Plus your Magnolia Elder, you're seeing 6 cards a turn, which is really strong. But that's not even the best part of this card's skill. Not only does it give you insane board recursion, but also says that when this unit attacks, you choose one of your Vanguards with the Sylvan Horn Beast in its card name. For every 2 grades of that unit, it gets plus 5k until the end of battle. So it is on Elder, it is a 25k attacker on its own with between the Elder skill and its own. So again, really strong. Forcing to say, hey, I need to see a trigger to guard is really powerful. And most of those times you're hitting those thresholds to where like 1 trigger guards it. But the reason that's important is because you're trying to play the sustaining long game. It's why we focus on that card advantage. So again, like having to say like, hey, you're eventually going to run out of triggers, because if I'm attacking 6 times a turn and asking for a trigger to guard, then like, hey, okay, cool. If you hit the defensive though, then I'm still asking for more pieces from hand. And you know, most of the time your non-normal units are your combo pieces for most standard decks. So like again, this deck is really good at really like consistent small pressure in a way, which I love the fact that I can play kind of mid-rangey on the small pressure and gauge like how much do I need to commit every turn to sustain my hand advantage. Because again, this deck is an absolute masterclass of that, and I cannot wait to show you guys in-game videos because this deck is just so good, man. So Benespati again, free pressure, free 25k attacker, and excuse me, the card that Benespati is going to be calling to 3 copies of Goldilote. Goldilote is so good. So Goldilote serves a few different purposes in this deck. One, again, it is another nice discard fodder. Same like in Largolf. The next card coming up is actually not a bad discard fodder either. This card says that from the drop, when a Vanguard with Magnolia in its card name is placed during the ride phase, if your soul does not have a Sylvan Horn Beast, Goldilote, you can put this card in a soul and choose one of your Vanguards and it gets 5k. So if you need to have your Magnolia be swinging for 18, this is a good way to do that. So just knowing that that is an avenue to take it is really good. Also, it says that when your unit's attacks in the back row, center, rear guard, so right behind Magnolia, you can choose you can have this unit get 10k, and then at the end of that battle, if it is in the center column, you retire it and you draw a card. So again, it's putting itself to drop. Benespati is going to be able to call it and another card, so typically a Voldilar or an Inlet, just to be able to draw more cards. It's going to call it here, and then you're going to have a 25k attacker again on its own because it's going to give itself 10k, and then Magnolia is going to pump it up 5k more, either one. So this card again is really, really strong. Really like seeing Goldilote here. It's a very awesome card. 2 copies next of Cormidret. I'm really mad that I don't have the frame rares. It's probably going to be a next pickup. Like I'm like going to slowly bling this deck out, as you guys see, and I'm having mixed match and rarities, and you're like, Devlin, that's not like you. But don't worry, I'm going to get the frame rares for these because I find this card like absolutely adorable, as well as like insanely powerful. Because when your Vanguard is, when your grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Magnolia is his card name is placed, perform one of the following. If you do not have a rear card with the same card name as this card, call this card a rear guard, and then if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, it gets 5k, so it can become a 15k beater going second. Or if your Vanguard's on grade 3 and it's your first Elder turn, this can revive itself and be a 20k attacker. So like, again, really good once we start hitting these smaller numbers. And then also it says, put this card in your soul and choose one of your Vanguards, and the cost of that original activity is reduced by counterblast 1 this turn. So that's the main reason I play it, actually. Having your deck be less dependent on a resource is really strong, especially if your opponent is going to limit you on counterblast. So maybe they're expecting you to, they're maybe expecting this deck, if they haven't seen any of the Elder indicators, that, oh, I need to force them to see an Alpen, you know, to do Ginosla, to do all these things. So they may limit you, which is a possible, you know, theory. I don't know how your opponent's going to play, but this card lets you have the Patriarch turn be free, so that way you can actually commit more. So it guarantees you the Banaspati. Then let's say, like, if your opponent only gives you the 1 damage, to be like, okay, you can attack 5 times, but your 5 times isn't threatening. Oh, I beg to differ. Now I'm going to call the Banaspati, revive another one, call and go crazy. You know what I'm saying? So this card's really strong, and again, a viable discard target for your ride line. So now what you guys have seen so far is that we have seen all these cards be really good discard fodder for your ride line, and also including the Elder. So I'm not even including the Elders in these counts, but the Elder is still a fine discard target because of Lattice's effect. So again, we already have, and we're not even through the deck, and we already have 5, 7 good discard targets, but we're about to get more, don't worry. The next grade 2, because we still play a lot, I really like the Apple. Hoopla Lily, it's just another defensive card, man. And I'm saying, like, I'm really liking the way Bushiroad is, you know, designing these defensive pieces. I think that this card is just really strong. I like the fact that it, again, can revive cards, and that's its only purpose, is that if it's placed, you can Energy Blast 3, revive a card equal then or less to the card in this drop, which then you can actually, if you're like playing as Varga and your board gets nuked, you can call this, then call Banaspati, and the Banaspati, if you're on Magnolia, calls 2 more, and then you've already called a card for turn off Elder. So like if Varga's Deadeye swipes your board, this card can just reset your entire board for an Energy Blast 3, Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 1. It's nasty, yeah. Don't disrespect this card. But also the reason I like it, and again, why I like to play it, this of course can be cut if you're trying to play a more aggressive build, or you want to play a build that, you know, even goes for a higher consistency draw advantage. But I really like the fact that when your unit with Sylvanhorn Beast in its name is attacked, you can retire the unit, choose the unit being attacked, and gets plus 10k power until the end of that battle. So again, just free 10k shield on board. Really, really strong. And the reason why I like this is because I actually still play this card. I am still playing the 1 NPix. NPix is a 23k on its own on Elder, so you are asking for a trigger to guard on this card. So it's, again, a really high natural attacker, as well as it gives your board resist, well, the column resist that it's on, and most of the time you are going to be at 3 or less just because you're on Elder, and it's the nature of your units that disappear. So I really love setups like this where, you know, I have the Lolly and the NPix in the same column. They can't, you know, kill the Lolly by a targeted removal, and so then I have more so a guaranteed way to, like, just have a free 10k shield. So like if I hit a trigger, cool, I'm guarding an attack typically. Just really, really good. And NPix is a really good swinging unit. Also too, I think that the Stride decks are still solid. Even if they don't have necessarily the best support. I think that Sharanui is still strong. I think that Jet is actually really strong post the Festival collection. I think that card is really, I think that deck's actually pretty solid. I think it's the best Stride deck set probably out right now, but like Nuba's like right there, just because just the domination's so powerful, and this card just plays around it. So like they can't spin with Jet, and they can't spin with and they can't spin the column with Jet, and they can't dominate with Nui. So just really, really good there. I still really value the NPix, but it is what it is, man, right? Now, onto the grade 1s. This is a lot shorter section. Of course, we have to play the different Elementaria just because we are on the grade 4 Elder. So this is just going to be free, again, against the Stride decks, and then just regular D-Series PGs. At the time of this recording, unfortunately, my higher rarity PGs are not in. So, but I wanted to go ahead and get this video out to you guys because I know I said that I would get videos to you guys, and now that everything has come from my new setup, I wanted to go ahead and do that because I really like giving content to you guys. So, apologies for not ugly, but like not what I wanted. So it's more so like I'm reminding myself if I ever come back and like accidentally click and watch this video that my package was late, but it's all good because the final grade 1 in the deck for Sincerit. Card is so good, bro. Card makes our cards even bigger. Would you like to make, you know, cards like 30k on their own? That now it's like asking over a trigger, and it's going to help us solve sometimes our deck out problem. So if we're getting close to low and we know we have a draw or something that still draws a card or force draw, cool, we can start just tucking these back and just going for it. So no worries at all here. Plus, like, Forbidal will shuffle our deck if we find that in, like, the mid-game. Like, this card's so good. And guess what it is? Another good ride deck discard. So if we're going to go through and say what is a good viable ride deck discard, and we're even going to include the Magnolia Elders in this one, but almost everything is a good discard ride target because Patriarch's going to revive it or Lattice can grab it back. So again, but for things that you would say that are absolutely comfortable discarding for your ride deck, I have 8, 10, 15 cards out of a 50 card deck. So almost so close. So close. That almost 33% of our deck is discardable. That's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane to think about that. Like, this is a high rate of cards that I'm just so comfortable discarding for the ride deck, and that almost half of them fulfill themselves back into the hand. So that is just so good. I really love this. But again, Sincerit, I'll explain its bottom ability because, of course, it's either you Soul Blast or you Energy Blast 3 to draw the card. You just have to show the Magnolia in your ride deck. It also works for Leonorn too. It doesn't work for all the Stoichea decks though. You still have to play the Sharp Seas Brave Shooter for that one. So yeah, let's just keep that in mind. But if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Leonorn or Magnolia in its card name, and your opponent's Vanguard is at grade 3, so you cannot do this going first. That would be really broken if you could do it first. Then I'd be like bullying people and just, you know, having the having the Bull Dealer, you know, cracking 20k on my opponent's 10k. So I'm now asking for trigger to guard. Just disgusting, but you can't do that. But if your opponent's if you're at grade 3 and your opponent's at grade 3, you can tuck this to the bottom of the deck, choose one of your rear guards, and it becomes base 15k. And then, you know, Magnolia or its own effects and stuff are just going to bump it up even more. So then, you know, Benaspati is going to be a 30k. Like, just so many decks just get so disgusting. So many units just get so disgusting on their own. And now here's like the controversial part of the deck, actually, I will say, is the triggers. So again, I'm going to show out the entire trigger lineup just because I like doing it to kind of talk through like how I built it. I like doing that approach now on my deck profiles just because I think it's a lot easier to hear. So we will do that. And so, as you guys can see, I'm kind of wilding a little bit. Magnolia does love its rainbow triggers. We'll say that, like, really strong on the rainbow triggers. But I can see a world where you do play 2 more critical. I think the fronts though are too key not to cut down on. Again, I love shield value. I love like hitting a trigger and then like these like 1 card guard everything for the most part. These cards are really solid. I really love fronts. Decks that can play them, I do play them. I love the 20k shield. It's reminiscent of V series. It's what a trigger should be. So like just go for it. But the draws 2 are helpful as well. It is your best trigger in your trigger lineup to discard. So you know how we just said we had 15? We actually have 17. So now we're at like 33%, bro. Pretty crazy to think about, right? Pretty wild. Cause like, it's just absolutely insane to say like, hey, I have 17 cards in my deck that I don't care about discarding. They're going to give me value in some way, shape, or form. This is like the worst one because like it doesn't give you value, but like it's not a strong trigger. Like, I feel bad every time I play a game of Standard and I have to discard a trigger for the ride deck because I didn't see like my 4 cyclers I play. Again, that's why I really like Magnolia in general, is because like their cards are going to give you value no matter how you discard them. So it's really, really good, really important that you go ahead and do that, man, because like it's sick. But of course you could make it 2 more crit, and it's absolutely fine. I just also like the fact that I could defensive draw too. So again, like if we have to overcommit from hand, or we don't find an Elder to continue generating value, we can hit one of these and then kind of get back onto that same tempo of just, you know, out advantaging our opponent. And then nothing fancy with the heals. I just really like these heals. I had these laying around, and so that's why I was like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna get back into standard. I really do like these World Originals. It was the first World Originals we ever got in D series, and this card's just absolutely beautiful. Really love these heals over any, actually, in Stoichea, and that's saying something because the LG Pixie is really good art. The deer art is fantastic for your just regular ones, but like I don't know why. I think it's because I played Grand Blue for too long, and I'm a real sucker for the art. So like maybe that's my problem, but yeah, man. And then of course your OT. You could play, in theory, the red OT to just do multi-attack and be unga bunga, but like again, I like card advantage. This says draw 2 and like do a bunch of crazy effects, so I'm totally for, you know, giving my opponent some blessed flavor, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's really it for the triggers. I mean, it's standard. You can't be like too innovative. There's no like crazy effects like premium has. So that's just kind of what I'm saying there. But yeah, that is the pure Elder variant that I have for standard, man. I gotta say, this deck is so much fun, and I'm so glad that now I'm not going to be punished for trying to build Elder in standard when my grade 3 turn does nothing in the face of like a Bob Saga or something. Like, this deck is a lot of fun. My favorite personal way to play Magnolia may not be the competitively the best, because just your numbers sometimes aren't the strongest, because you're just on Elder. You do not get the benefit of Persona riding, but Persona Ride, pure Patriarch deck coming soon, and then we will go over the hybrid build, even though this is a more pure focus toward Elder type build. There's just so many ways to play Magnolia, and I know a couple other content creators have been covering, you know, the Magnolia madness is what I'm calling it. But I just wanted to go ahead and just show off my favorite way to play the deck, because that's how it has to be. But please let me know what you guys think, you know, my fellow Magnolia enthusiasts. Please, you know, if I missed a card that you're screaming at, you know, type that stuff all caps in the comments, bro, because this is my first time where I'm really revisiting Mag, just because I stepped away from standard and was really only playing for the BCS season. So I saw Stoichea deck was good, picked up Levy, really liked Levy's design. I was really a huge fan of it, but I just really am glad that Magnolia has a place again in the meta, even if it's not tier 1. This deck is now just really enjoyable to play again. So please, you know, point me toward the right direction if I'm missing something glaring. And then, of course, like and subscribe. Again, I'm really trying to push to 2K. It's been absolutely a pleasure of having me deliver you guys really good Vanguard content, and just trying to be consistent and trying new things too. So I really appreciate the patience with everything that's been going on. Been trying to stay busy, but a new premium profile is on the way too, because I did a thing. So if you guys have not seen my community post, you may want to check that out, because I did a thing. So now I have expensive cards, and now Great Nature is 4 cards away now from being max rarity all throughout. So I'm just gonna say that. But I really again appreciate you guys. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful rest of your week. I love you all. God bless, and take care.